Yeah, I wonder if this is gonna work. I wonder how I see chat messages. If anybody ends up being on here, top chat messages. Maybe I'll see somebody. I just wanted to mess around. Oh, I guess that would be where I see people. So, hey folks, if you leave a chat message, I don't know where it shows up. Just wanted to, I was editing today's video, next week's videos, and I was hanging out. I'm like, I gotta taste these bitters. The Honest John company keeps sending me these or keeps asking me if I've tasted their bitters yet. So I had a whole bunch of them, so I was just gonna sit down and taste them, and I was like, maybe somebody else can get value out of this. And I've never streamed from my iPhone before. I don't even know where this goes. Let's just check the website here, the YouTubes, and see if that's where this video ends up going to. How would I know? Live stream. I see 7 people watching. This is offline, so I'm gonna guess that. Oh, there's a webcam option. Oh, I don't want to do that. That's bad. Whoa, I can actually see text on my camera that shows people talking. That's cool. I just wanted to check out the YouTube's direct and see if this shows up. Somebody's finding it, so it must be somewhere. Oh yeah, live now. Hey, that's cool. All right, well, I guess then this is working. So what I wanted to do, I'll buy some time while people find out that we're live for fun. And have you tried LVOV vodka? I have not, and I apparently only have like 5 seconds to see that chat message before it's gone. Maybe if I watch the show from like another screen, I can see the. Oh, I can see the chat from here. That makes it easier because the screen thing is neat, but only on the go. So I got this Honest John stuff. Let's do some backstory. What the crap is this? Oh, shit. They want me to sell this stuff in the store. And they've apparently been doing some marketing. And what I had told them, they sent you like, I'm guessing components to what goes in the bitters. I'm guessing this is just for me since, or it's like maybe people in the press. It's like I get a box with some bitters in it. That's all nice. But, they wanted me to sell their stuff in the store. AwesomeDrinks.com. Because, why not? I sell bitters. And I don't know how they found me. And so they sent me apparently a bunch of recipes that you can use to use their bitters. What I have is Sarsaparilla, an invaluable remedy for. I think this is like a. I don't know. I think this is kind of a mixer. Remedy disorders. This says suggested spirit pairings. Rum and bourbon, contains alcohol, water, organic herbs, and spices. Either that or it's just a friggin' huge bitter. But that's one thing. Let's see. Lemongrass and cardamom bitters. Oh, where's my camera? Oh yeah, it's over here. Boom. Oh, it doesn't do well with close-ups, but trust me, that's what that says. Let's see. Grapefruit bitters. Black walnut bitters. Oh, I like black walnut. Orange bitters. What they didn't send me is how much these things are supposed to sell for. Aromatic bitters. And if you guys have any questions about bitters, now would be the time to ask, because I'm like literally sitting here at my computer, one of my computers, messing around. Coffee and cherry bitters. Now I tried this a few minutes ago, and that's what kind of inspired me to do this because I really liked it. Aromatic. Did they send me 2 aromatic, or am I an idiot? No, they sent me 2. They're the same. Yep, so they probably did that by accident, or it was in part of another package. So let's try the aromatic bitters. Oh, so they have flavor notes on the back. Could be a dumb question. There's no such, well, there are such things as a dumb question. It is YouTube, but my audience usually doesn't ask dumb questions. Is the stuff for brewing or just enhancing in mixed drink? So This is typically used for enhancing a mixed drink. It also can be used as a flavoring for food. Bitters are often used for food flavoring. Originally, it was more of a digestive for stomach ailments, malaria. Does whether that actually works if you have the right components in the herbs. Basically, you have a series of herbs that are known remedies, and we know that because science and just thousands upon thousands of years of humans needing remedies for things and inventing stuff on the fly. You boil these things down, you put them into a super saturated liquid, and you use the alcohol to leach out those healthy components and flavor components and aromatic components, right? So, for instance, they did put some herbs in here. I don't know what this is, some sort of flowery thing. That's a pretty neat flowery flavor to it. But whatever this is, if this it's tied up, so maybe somebody might recognize what it is. It's dried, whatever it is, and wood. Um, Barks, woods, stuff like that. To leach out those flavors, a lot of the times you use an alcohol. You can also use a sugar, but the downfall to using a sugar is it can create more of a bacteria situation over time, and it does leach well, but alcohol leaches better and becomes a stabilizer. So if you think of what would they have done prior to refrigeration, you need to have alcohol and other things that can keep things stable. So if you had a pile of basil, and let's say basil, no, sage, we'll use sage because it has a higher thujone content than absinthe. And absinthe was, people always assume is going to give you some sort of psychedelic properties. Actually, sage can do it better, but neither of them really will do it because there's not enough parts. But let's say there was. If you had a pile of sage, it's going to wilt, dry, and go bad. So how do you keep it for the long run? One way would be to extract all the flavor components from it and put it into a supersaturated liquid and then store it for years. So bitters can typically be stored for several years or forever. I don't know if there's actually any science to prove otherwise. Can you use them for brewing? Sure. Can you use them for? You could pretty much use a liquid like this for anything. You could put it in a cake if you want to. If you look at vanilla extract, it's really just this. It's a supersaturated vanilla. That's what's called either an extract or a tincture because it's a single dimensional flavor. It's vanilla with the alcohol to extract the vanilla flavor. This one is aromatic. So aromatics are a generic name. Aromatics are typically that's tasty. This is a citrus aromatic. Spicy citrus flavor. Well, there you go. These guys, one of the things I don't like, but I get it, is they just put for their contents it contains alcohol, water, and organic herbs and spices, and they do that because they don't want people to know what's in here. Let's see if the cardamom, because it says or black walnut. This says organic herbs and spices. So you're not getting the components to it. Some brands are nice and they write, oh, it's got cardamom, I don't know, some other seed, some other mint, whatever type of extract. These guys just say it's got, as Eric says, it contains stuff. But spicy citrus flavor. So for the Honest John aromatics, it's got a nice spicy, slightly sweet, more than bitter. I would say the most bitter would be like a Hella bitter or Scrappy's bitters for aromatics is typically the more bitter. This has a little sweet taste to it, and adding sugar to these isn't abnormal. It's not a high degree of sugar. It could just be to balance it. I don't know exactly why you'd add sugar, but I know some do. And for this, I would say it tastes like an old fashioned to me. It has like that oaky, dry, slightly sweet flavor with a little citrus peel to it. So that's kind of nice. So I'd say from an aromatic standpoint, typically aromatics are used in brown spirits, but you can use them in I don't know, a gin tonic or whatever, because an aromatic is a generic name. Once upon a time, no, I think it's always really been a generic name. The difference is there's so many companies doing these that from my standpoint, say from the store, since I'll give you a little perspective since that's what I'm doing this for primarily, is that I'd have a hard time selling Honest John aromatics. And the reason is I sell 5 other brands aromatics. So it's going to come down to education, to the user, to the client or the customer to understand why would I buy this aromatic at whatever cost it is. Let's say I'm going to go with, more than likely, these being, say, small sampler size. This is a half ounce, so this is a sampler size. A standard 4-ounce bottle is probably going to run you, and I'll Google it right now, but it's probably going to run you $16 to $20. And people will say, oh, I could just buy Angostura aromatics, and it's only going to cost me, $9.99. Okay, Honest John Bitters price. I bet you they have a website, Honest John Bitters, and it would probably say here, shop. This is the other challenge, is Honest John sells their own product, so that makes it even harder for me to sell it because these are the actual sizes. Okay, because you can just go, if you just go to Honest John Bitters, that means I have to rank in Google higher than everybody else, blah blah blah. So, which is why I used to sell BG Reynolds really well. We would sell so much BG Reynolds, and then Blair started selling it on his website again, and now everybody went to his website to buy it. Even if you're on the East Coast, it's going to be cheaper overall, even if my price is $2 or $3 more than his, because you're going to have to ship it from Seattle, or Oregon rather, to the East Coast. So it's better to buy it from us, but how do you educate somebody you don't know? Lemongrass, so they have, okay, so here's the deal. It looks like they have 4-ounce and they have 0.5-ounce bottles. That's why this is so big. So this is actually deceptively small. This is a 4-ounce, so this is their standard bitter size. It looks like a lot, but that's the size of an Angostura bottle. It's just that they're short and squat in these medicine bottles, so it looks like there's more. This is really small. This is 0.5 for $10. So these are $24. So these are definitely on the higher price from a cocktail bitter perspective, because $19.99 to $22 is kind of where a 6-ounce bottle typically lands you. This is a 4-ounce bottle for $24. So while they're probably justified in their pricing, it makes it a lot harder for me and other people to sell, because you have to say, okay, well, why am I going to buy this version of aromatic for $24 when I can buy these for $9, these for $16, or these for $24, without having a tasting bar where people can sit down and taste them and see what the differences are. But that's my problem, not yours. Let's see. We've got, oh, that's the aromatic again. Damn it, these aromatics are killing me. Aromatic. Let's go with the grapefruit, because I like a grapefruit. So grapefruit would be a bitter that's, it's not really a tincture, even though it's called grapefruit bitters, because they usually add other stuff. This doesn't say what, but typically a grapefruit bitter would be some sort of vegetal flavor, like a bittering agent, wormwood, whatever they use for, I can't remember any bitter products at the moment. The stuff for tonic quinine, cherry bark. There's a series of flavors that are your bittering side, and most bitters have a bitter, an aromatic, and usually the liquid itself. So you might have, what the crap goes in Angostura? What is their, not enthusiast? Well, let's go with wormwood. Wormwood is a bittering agent. So a bitter could have wormwood, grapefruit peel, alcohol, and that alcohol could be whiskey, might be blackstrap, like a rum. It could be a gin base, although Fee Brothers is the only one I know who does a gin base in one of theirs. And it could be any of those. Typically, it's just going to be not vodka, but like a high proof clear, like an Everclear or something, as your base agent. They don't tell you what it is, they're just going to say alcohol. And that's part of the magic, because if they're selling these for $10, you're going to be like, I want to make them at home instead of buying your crap. No, can't do it, because you never know what it is. Whoa, also tasty. This just has crisp citrus flavor. It almost feels like it almost tastes like a little bit of a whiskey or rum base, with a little bit of almost like an elderflower grapefruit. There's definitely the grapefruit peel. It finishes dry with that nice grapefruit, like you just licked the part of the pith almost. It's just that. Now this is bitter, as opposed to the aromatic, which is slightly sweet. The aromatic's 33% alcohol by volume. This is 62%. Wow, that's really high. Batch 5. So the other thing, for those that are just here to be nerds, is that most bitters, if you're in the market for bitters, one of the things you can look for is the batch number. See, this is 5. The batch number means they're usually making a small batch bitter that is mass marketed and more than likely qualifies, has already got certification with the alcohol tobacco, the TTB, because all bitters that are for sale outside of a farm stand would need to be registered with the TTB in the U.S. and usually other, whoever the country is, because they want to be able to have some sort of control. They're going to test it through a chem lab to make sure it fits the requirements, and that means not too sweet. What time is it by here? Right now it's 3:25 in the afternoon. And part of that is batching. I don't know if it's a requirement, but it's a good practice, and it might be a state requirement. Batching means that if you ship it to different companies like Awesome Drinks or other people, Amazon, um, you need to be able to control it. So if everybody starts getting sick off this, they can look at it and go, that was batch 5, and recall or put out a notice saying batch 5 needs to be thrown away, and then you do whatever you're supposed to do. That's why they put the batching on bitters. It's just like it would be for any other control. I'm going to save the black walnut for last because I like black walnut. What's this one? Orange. So here's another difficult bitter, is orange bitters, because everybody's got one. Ooh, it's a little darker. It has like a salty thing going on. Deep citrus flavor. So the tasting notes aren't necessarily uh, very explanatory on the bottle, but it is deep citrus flavor, whatever that means. it's it's got like a sea salt. Almost tastes a little bit like, I want to say the it tastes like the smell of being at the harbor, and you have like the the organic mingling with this with the sea salt, but not in a bad way. I'm gonna try that again. Uh, Maybe what type of what type of citrus? It could be a blended different type of citrus, almost like a lahara fruit. I don't know. It has a it's one of those flavors you get that it just it reminds you of something, but you cannot recall in your brain what that flavor is. But there's something there, and it has something to do with the ocean. And I don't know why. Um, it's oceany. Oh, there's some comments. DJ, I'm in Mexico, gonna pick up some Havana Club. You down here for college break? Oh, that's funny. It's only funny if you're in the live stream last week. Um, this is black walnut. Damn it. Do I have 2 black walnuts? No. What's this? Lemongrass Cardamom. So let's try this out. And if you want to know, oh yeah, that's cardamom. It has like that little back end eucalyptus, wicked bitter. It's a New England term. Wicked bitter. Wow, wicked bitter, dude. Um, so let me rewind for a minute. So orange bitters, these specific orange bitters are extremely unique. I would actually want to see these probably in a rum, like maybe a daiquiri, something with some egg white to it. And maybe that's just because there's, or a Mai Tai if you wanted to add it to something you already know. Basically kind of a rum-based drink that, or a gin-based drink if you want to, but I don't know, for some reason I just think rum. It doesn't, in the grapefruit, champagne cocktails, French 75. I kind of like grapefruit. That gin, anything gin, Dorchester. Sorry. What's our other really? Now I'm getting sweetness. After having the lemongrass cardamom, the grapefruit tastes like candy. Kind of interesting. Anything else happen? I just bought the Bitter Truth travel set a few days ago while on the bitter. Oh, in Denmark. So the Bitter Truth, we had the Bitter Truth travel set, or the Bergenhock travel set for us, because little backstory there. Bitter Truth Bitter Truth sells both spirits and bitters. So they kind of just lump them all together and they send them to the distributor, and now the distributor can carry everything. But then you have stores like me that have to carry products that are registered to the TTB as non-potable, which means they're not drinkable. Obviously, I can down this no problem, just like I could with vanilla extract, but it's not, it will get you drunk, but you're going to probably get more sick just consuming high concentrations of this type of stuff versus uh, like a real alcohol that you can drink easier, so it becomes more dangerous. So these you could sell to people under 21. You could sell them without having a liquor license. Well, Bergen Hock, I think that's their actual names. The Bitter Truth brand wanted to be able to sell to folks like me and other places like Amazon that you could sell things without a liquor license. In order to do that, they needed to break their brand apart and have ones that were non-potable and ones that in licensed as such, and then you had to have the bitters, which are licensed as a liquor, so or an alcohol. So they had to break their brand into two in order to be able to get to the U.S. Uh, without breaking laws. So when I say Bergen Hock, it's the same thing as Bitter Truth. The products taste the same. The literal only difference is the labeling to fit the TTB. So back to the travel set. The travel set's pretty awesome because it gives you a good variety of flavors. They have your aromatics, which I really like. Their citrus, which I really like, and uh, it's not too expensive. And their bottles are probably I think 0.5 ounce, so it's a good flight and it will last you a while even if you're just using them in any random drink that I tell you to use them in. The lemongrass and cardamom. I've used lemongrass before, and one of the cool things is you get a lemon flavor from lemongrass, obviously, because whoever decided to name it knew, hey, this has got lemony flavor, but it also has that organically, like that green, um, grassy flavor. So it's like a lemongrass. But then to tie that together, you bring in some other flavors, and if you do a lot of pairing research, 62% ABV. Um, Cardamom is kind of a bittery flavor versus the lemongrass, which is more of your flavor additive. So when you're looking at it from an aromatic or taste perspective, the aromatic side is probably that lemongrass, and the cardamom plays in as the bittering agent, which gives you a little bit more flavor in the long run of the drink. It also can be the stomach relieving thing. It also balances off the cocktail if it's out of whack. Uh, I found, and I think this is science, is that bitters, if you use too much bitter, the drink's going to become more potent tasting because bitters accent some of the alcohol. So when you have sweet, and you're like, how do I get rid of some of the sweet and bring it down? You usually bring up the sour. If you add bitters, it all ties together. But if you have a drink that's a little too potent, adding bitters is not going to bring it back. That's where you're going to need your sugars or your acids, I think. Now, Black Walnut is not opened. I don't know why your messages got rejected, Dr. Jones. I saw. Oh, you retracted it? You can retract? That's cool. How much would you add to a drink? So, the drink addition is typically, I like bitters, so I usually go with anywhere from 3 to 5, probably closer to 5. The trick is when you hear the word dashes, a dash is the measure equivalent of 1 ml. So if I take this, that is not 1 ml. That's probably a half an ml. So if you wanted to use 3 dashes in a small dasher like this, or in like the Bitter Truth set, you're gonna want to do this twice for one. So you're gonna need 6 of these little guys compared to a single bottle of normal stuff, which I haven't. I want to know how they dash with that. But and if you're using the dashes that have the plastic insert, you have to do this. I found usually um, the dashes could be good, could be bad for that. I would personally get this sounds stupid, but this is how I did my science. Is I have one of those little scales that measures out an ml. Um, it measures out in ounces and weight. I actually have one right here, but that one's for the store for measuring shipments. Oh god. So, um, what I would do is, if you really like a bitter, is to dash it out onto a plate, tear it with like a little jar or a plate, and just dash until it says 1 ml. Count them and write them down, and you'll know what your dasher typically does. If you have like a bitter cube, not bitter cube, that one's not too bad. Bitterman's has a long dasher, or a long one of these, but it still only fills up halfway, and it actually does pull out about 1 ml. So that being said, if something else with 3 dashes, it's 3 ml. So if you know, oh, I'm making a drink with 6 dashes, it's 6 ml. You might actually be able to measure that if you have something that can measure an ml. They still sell bitters with limits as something like vodka. What's this? I think it's because bitters aren't that common here. Right. Bitters aren't that common anywhere, just a little bit more here because of our fascination with them, really. So let's do the black walnut. This, I like, whoa, that was a lot. Black walnut, initially I could tell right off the bat, the base tastes like, it's a rum. Um, it tastes like cinnamon. Um, Blackstrap? Earthy flavor, sweet earthy flavor. That's not helpful. Colorado cocktails. So, good question, Hayes. I've been using Bacardi Superior to make my daiquiris. Do you recommend another rum? I recommend as many rums as you can find and make the same daiquiri over and over. That being said, Bacardi Superior makes a perfectly fine daiquiri. Is it the most stellar, like outstanding thing? If you've never had a well-crafted daiquiri like we've done on the show, then it's going to be stellar and outstanding. Once that bottle's gone, however, what I typically do, and it might be easier for me because I have a lot of rum, but even if I'm purchasing rum to make a host daiquiris, I like to select different rums each time. And pro tip, if you have a bottle of rum and you're about to finish it, save off, even if you have to put it in like a little jar, buy some of these little jars and put it in there and label it. That way, when you get your next bottle of rum, let's say it's, I don't know, Smith and Cross. You make your daiquiri with Smith and Cross, and then you make another daiquiri with the stuff you saved. Figure out which one you like better, and then you prefer that. Next time, that one falls, the loser falls off the shelf. Next time, you buy a different rum, do the same process, and that way you're not buying 7 bottles of rum to find your perfect rum. You're buying them one at a time, or 2 at a time if you want to, or whatever's on sale. Like if you did like a Navy strength rum, like what is it, Pussers. Not necessarily as good in my opinion in a daiquiri as Bacardi, just because I don't know. I'm just not that big of a fan of Pussers. That's why I think I like the painkiller with it, because there's so much other stuff in that sweet coconut that Navy strength rum to me is not as exciting. Navy rum in general, it's not even the potency thing. I don't mind potency. I can drink, Lemon Heart 151 or Stro, and I can survive it. These are real. I don't like these. I can't. I want to say I've made bitters that have this flavor to it, and I don't know what I used. It's got that. It definitely has a little bit of a cinnamon hint to it, and working with cinnamon and bitters is tough because it becomes very overwhelming as it sits. But it tastes like a molasses, brown sugar, or maybe something like that. So it could be molasses direct, could be brown sugar, could be some sort of demerara, but it feels like a brown sugar, molasses, obviously walnut, um, but it has a nice nutty flavor that's memorable. But I don't drink them straight, so from my standpoint, this would be good in pretty much a whiskey sour. I'd love it in a whiskey sour. For black walnut, I typically think whiskey sour, old fashions. If you're into the classics, I think the black walnut would be fun for that. Um, Champagne drinks. No, I don't think champagne drinks. The If you did any of those like Kraken recipes, what do we do? The Kraken Hatton, black walnut would be nice. I think. Oh, I'm dropping shit. How have you made your own bitters? I have made my own bitters. I have like 6 of them. This is one of them, coffee and cherry. Not this one. This is Honest John. But I have made a coffee bitter. I've made a cherry bitter. I've made a blend of them. Um, am I hammered? No, I've never been hammered on YouTube. I'm actually sober. I was just working, trying to get my lawnmower going too. So, out of all of these, I find besides the black walnut, What's your favorite bitter at the moment? My favorite bitter right now is Bitter Cube, Trinity bitters, and Corazon bitters. Trinity for everything, Corazon for things that are tequila, things that I want to have a little bit of a back end spice to. I would like to try. I have it. I just can't afford to buy them from the store. But I'd like to try the bitter end mole bitters again. I had them when Warren Bobrow came in to do some shows, what, 3 years ago now. He had brought them and they were really spicy, and I kind of like that. But it is what it is. Will there be a video of homemade bitters? Is there? Yes. I think I did coffee bitters. And the way I did those was I did it through, the heck is that thing? A sous vide. So the sous vide system that I have, basically it's a hot water bag or hot water infusion where you put all your in it. It's faster. It's more rapid. So you put all your spices and herbs that you want to play with into a Ziploc bag, and you put them in a sous vide for like 3 hours, and that gives you your infusion. Then you can take them out and you can put them in your bottle. The trick with that is if you're using things like cinnamon, when you put them in there, what you'll find is that what it tastes like when you're done is not what it tastes like 3 weeks from now or even a week. So there is a resting period that changes the flavor. I would like, yeah, you could do it with steak too. I don't make steak in that because I don't cook that much. Sous vide is for those not in the not in the know. Like these coffee and cherry bitters, you could probably do in a sous vide pretty quick. And one of the beauties of that is you can taste test it within those 3 hours. If it tastes like ass, you can change the recipe, and you don't have to take 3 to 4 weeks like it would take to make it standard infusion in a bottle, which can go through multiple stages. So make your bitters. If you're like, it's good, not great, label it, date it, put it away, check it in a couple weeks, check it week by week, and see how the flavors change. It might be great in 3 weeks, but at least you have a sense of if it's the right direction. If you're doing it with a standard infusion and it's going to take you 3 weeks just to taste it, and then the work of filtering it and double filtering it and coffee straining it and all the other crap you want to do, you can just do a lot of that quicker with a sous vide method. Then, if you really want to, you can try it in the slower method once you kind of know what components you want to work with. So in this case, coffee and cherry, what I did for that is I put coffee beans, or actually I took the coffee beans and I ground them. I think I ground them up, not 100% sure. I think I just hit them to crack them. Add some cherries. I pop the seeds out. You don't want the seeds in there because seeds typically make everything way too bitter. Add some citrus peel, some sort of bittering agent outside of coffee, like I can't remember. I think I used chinoa bark for that, or chinoa bark, whatever it is. No, I used the cherry bark so that I can get that cherry flavor additional to the cherries. Then if you want to, I think I even slapped in a little bit of vanilla, but that can get expensive. So one way you can get around that is just using a vanilla extract. And then you get that flavor profile. This flavor profile, however, is very much coffee. This is like what I'd want in either an espresso martini, just because it's like redundant, and sometimes redundant's fun, or in any type of whiskey sour, because sometimes I always like coffee, so why wouldn't I like it with my whiskey sour? But it's got that like dark roast, dark roast flavor paired with a little sweet. The cherry is almost like a cherry bark, where it's like bitter but cherry. It's not sweet cherry like Fee Brothers cherry bitters. So if you're into more of the sweet flavor, you want that vibrant cherry, I think having Fee Brothers cherry bitters is usually a win to begin with. So, when people go to the store and like, oh, what should I get for bitters? I usually suggest, if they're looking for that, because you could use it in gin drinks, you could use it in champagne cocktails, having a bottle of Fee cherry bitters is cool because it's like, I don't know how much, under $12 for a bottle plus shipping. Um, and it lasts a long time. It's got a glycerin base instead of an alcohol base. There's a little bit of alcohol, but it's mainly glycerin, so it's going to be a little slippery, a little more silky texture. And most bitter aficionados hate that because they call it cheating. You should only be using alcohol in there, and Fee is going to do it because it obviously reduces the price, makes it easy to manufacture. yada, yada, yada. So if you ask a bitter snob, they will tell you never buy fee products because they're manufactured to make money. And, well, fuck everybody else because fee's been around long enough. I think they deserve to do whatever they want. And many restaurants agree, which is why fee dominates in a lot of the restaurant scenes, where Ango and Peychaud don't. They usually dominate everything because they've been around for like 200 years. I'm guessing if Awesome Drinks is around in 200 years, it'll be the most fantastic store in the world. I just won't be running it. Okay, that's a really big friggin' dasher. You can't see it, but it's a really big friggin' dasher. Let me see if it... Oh, it's slow. So that's not too bad. That's good. I never do that, by the way. If you're gonna taste bitters, this is really good. If you're gonna taste bitters and you want to use your skin to do it, usually you drop it right here. And if you ever, this is good information if you ever go to a tasting event or someplace where there's these people who know what they're doing and you're like, I don't really feel like I fit here. I've been there hundreds of times. And you're like, well, I'll just do what everybody else is doing. What you may see is those bitter aficionados like, oh, taste this. They'll go like this. So where this really plays in is if you walk up to this booth and there's a guy selling you bitters or wants to sell you bitters and he's like, oh, try these out. If you don't want to look like a, I don't know, an uneducated brute, a barbarian, and you're like, oh, or you don't, or you put them in the middle of your hand where it's probably more dirty. Most people don't use this for, I don't know, picking their nose, wiping themselves, doing whatever. So it's usually safer to use that. I personally just do this. But first off, it makes you look like you're giving somebody a blowjob. The worst part is if you're sharing it or if it's in a public setting and there's going to be tons of people there, you usually don't want to stick your mouth next to somebody else's bottle and then hand it to a complete stranger. Con man blowjobs, that's right. You can swig it too. Well, I got it on my shirt. But that's okay, because this is really cool. This tastes like sarsaparilla. It tastes like root beer. So, where can that play? Cuba Libre? Because it's not going to make your cola taste like root beer, but it does have a cold eucalyptus feel to it, without the eucalyptus taste. But there is a little back end bitter, and that sarsaparilla, however you want to say it, that root beer. What does this say at the tasting notes? Sweet, earthy flavor. So they just copy and pasted from the other one. Notes: root beer, licorice, and ginger. I'd buy that. Do these have notes too that I didn't see? This print's really small. This doesn't say anything, but I know they did. Hold on. Oh, these look different. No. Oh, what's this say? It is an invaluable remedy to all disorders, stimulating, imparting tone to the stomach and strength to the system, and a most efficient tonic. That's really freaking small print, but those are kind of lies. Women who are pregnant should not consume this product. Well, it does have 33% alcohol. So, aromatic bitters are not a remedy to all disorders. If you have cancer, it ain't going to help you. There's a whole lot of things. If your leg hurts, it's probably not going to help you. Not a doctor, but I'm going to step out on a limb here and think that's true. Not a huge spiced rum guy. As anyone that doesn't like rum, because rum is amazing. Rum is amazing. That would be good with Zaya rum. Does Zaya have root beer flavor? It does have a little bit of, now of course now that they say it, I couldn't figure out what that was. It's ginger. These guys are definitely playing, you can tell that there's no, they're not doing the Fee Brothers version of fake alcohol by using the solutions they do, because it's very watery. So you can tell it's real alcohol. There's also some particulates. That's the other thing, is if you have a dropper, and I've heard this a lot, so if you have a dropper like this, and it's got like green particles on it. You think it's mold. It's probably just the floaties within here. Most of the particulates in a small craft bitter are going to still be in there. Not the case necessarily with Fee Brothers or any of the high production, Angostura, Peychaud. There's really no free floating elements, but most small craft bitters, they filter, but they do leave a little bit in there. I think it's intentional because it keeps the flavor high. The more you filter out those little particulates, the more flavor you're losing, just like making a vodka. Just not as stripped down as making a vodka, because you're still gonna always have some flavor to it. But yeah, same with beer. Yes, some beers are hazy. Other beers, like most small batch beers that people make, wheat beers specifically, will have some stuff sink to the bottom. Like the beer I have on my tap is home brewed from my father, so no doubt when I open it up, there's going to be some residual garbage at the bottom, even though I finished one of the kegs. The other one's going to take a lot longer to drink because it's got bourbon in it. Just got a Plantation 5-year. You can never go wrong with Plantation 5-year unless you're a rum, I don't know, snob, because they add sugar to it, and rum purists don't care for that. I like anything that tastes good, and I don't care if you added sugar to make the experience better. If I'm having a good experience, to me, that's the first thing that matters. You should really get an email on your 21st explaining all the new laws and everything. Why? Oh, I'm reading backwards. Still trying to figure out what I like, I should say. I turned 21 a couple months ago. Oh, yeah. There's like, how many videos do I have now? Just watch all of them. You'll learn as I learn. Purple, lemon haze, and some cherry cream pie. I don't know what you guys talk about. So, out of all the Honest John, if I were to specifically carry them, there's a few things I look at. And this is for me as much as you, because I can go back and look at this when I'm making these decisions. But the Sarsaparilla is interesting. Interesting's cool because I don't have a root beer style bitter, so that would be something I consider. The walnut, I would definitely go with. Okay, walnut and cherry coffee, I would go with first because I like cherry and coffee, and if I like it, then I wouldn't mind selling it. And when people ask me, "What do you recommend?" I like to recommend things that I like, not just because I sell them. I would go with black walnut because I think walnut is a huge, fun bitter to play with. And who wouldn't want a huge, fun bitter to play with? So black walnut's always good, and it works in so many brown spirits. So for that, the problem I'm having here is maybe just a lemongrass cardamom. So lemongrass cardamom's unique as well. Now, I have a black walnut in the store from Fee and from Boy Drinks World. Actually, this is just the walnut. Boy Drinks World isn't as deep flavor as this. It's more like what I'd say is a traditional bitter, not as sweet, a little light flavor. This is a lot more vibrant. I don't know what that freaking flavor is that I'm getting out of it, but it has like that little cinnamon quality. So you could use this in any type of rum cocktail because of the trade spices that it has along with the walnut. So maybe even I don't know. This just tastes like a rum cocktail, like already. It's like a rum based cocktail to me. Whatever. So black walnut, the lemongrass cardamom. Try that again because this is kind of interesting. The Plantation 3-star, by the way, is good. $30. You have to spend $30 for a bottle of Plantation 3-star. I've never actually bought one. But the Plantation 3-star, if you watch your video on tiki rums, it fits in well because it's from 3 different islands, the 3 stars. So it gives you a good blend so that when something calls for Jamaican rum or a Barbadian rum, or I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but or rums like that, it fits. Sailor Jerry. Why are we talking about Sailor Jerry? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sailor Jerry's, unfortunately. I don't know. I've never, in a blind tasting, I never really cared for it, so I know that one is legit. I'm not just saying it because, I don't know, Jerry rubbed me the wrong way or something. Let's see. You guys have Total Wines, huh? That's pretty cool. I don't have that option. So the lemongrass cardamom definitely fits into your bitter drinks, fits into pretty much all of your clear spirits, your vodka. You know what? Lemongrass cardamom in a vodka martini makes the vodka martini taste better because vodka martinis otherwise taste like whatever, junk. It's just too bland. It needs some flavor. It's like having a steak and not spicing it, right? It's just, oh, what's that taste like? Steak. Most people want to go, oh, this tastes awesome. When you have to tell somebody that it tastes like the thing that it is named after, then that just tells you that it's adequate. You want to have something that's just like exciting. So the lemongrass cardamom for gin and tonics, gin-based drinks. The grapefruit would be good for that. So this is where I'm torn. If I were to carry these, the grapefruit is one of the better grapefruits I've had. But how do I explain that to people? Like, oh, you should buy this grapefruit over something else. So am I stocking it because, oh, it's got some alcohol in it? Because I like it and I think it's gonna sell. It's gonna be a kind of a somewhere I have to kind of meet in the middle and say this is good and it will sell. Now, one of the biggest issues I've had with brands is that, and I told these guys that I'm like, do you do your own marketing? Do people look for your product? And so sometimes what I do is I just Google the brand because I'm sick of carrying stuff that doesn't move. That's kind of a pain in the ass. So I'll Google it, and these guys dominate their front page. Black Walnut, you can buy these at this deli. So, Eventbrite, launch party, shop, bitters. It's just sometimes it doesn't, they don't even have, they're doing a lot of advertising, but they don't have, or are they? Somebody is, Amazon is. They just don't have a ton of people talking about them. And I don't know if that's a problem or not. So what I typically would do in this type of situation, and they've told me how they're doing like press runs and everything, and everybody loves it. Everybody's going to tell you about the product and how much everybody loves it. The trick for me is how much do they love it? And do they go looking for it? Are you educating them on my behalf? Because I can't just go and say, go to awesomedrinks.com, buy my stuff. I do it on the show, but that's a limited audience. These people need to find this on their own and go, I love Honest John Bitters. Let me go to the internet and find it. And then, oh, look, Awesome Drinks has them. Boom, click, buy. I need something I can put out on the store that sells itself, that I can't go around all the time saying, buy this, buy this. So in that type of case, what I typically would do is carry, like, let's just say these 4. And I would pick these 4, probably in the larger size, depending on price, maybe not, I don't know. And then, where's their website? And then see if they sell. If they don't sell at all, then I just put them on sale and get rid of them. If I don't do anything and all of a sudden they're all sold in a couple of weeks, which rarely happens but sometimes can, then I would start going, oh, wait, what else can I buy? So when I do my reorder, I just add another product into their category. And I just keep growing it. So it looks like, I don't have all of their product here. Grapefruit bitters, Nola bitters. Nola bitter sounds like it's going to be a Saz or a Peychaud. Orange bitters, black walnut, aromatic, sarsaparilla, lemongrass, coffee, and cherry. So those are your brands, and then they just have the 2 bottle sizes. Travel box. That's probably why I have some redundants. So that's that thing. So you can actually buy. Holy shit! Is that right? 1, 2, 3. All right. I just gotta click on this for a second. So 3 bottles. So you can buy 3 bottles. It's gonna cost you $30 before shipping. The travel box is going to cost you $42 for this. So that's $10 for a box. I don't like that. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I don't know why anybody would buy that unless they just really want a box. So you could get this 3 bottles for $42, or you just get 3 bottles for $30. That's my reaction video. How's that? Congrats on 100,000. Hey, thanks. Doesn't really mean anything to me, because it's not like I get anything. Nobody pays me extra money. I still don't get any views, so 100,000 is 100,000. It's not that it's expensive for a box. Yeah, you're basically getting, there's $12 overhead because you wanted the box. I guess if it was a video game, it would work. Buy this video game, or buy it with a laser sword for $50 extra. And people are like, yeah, hell yeah, laser swords, right? But it's bitters. And people who buy bitters usually aren't collecting boxes. That's just me, but who am I to say? I don't know how to make any money, so don't ask me. What was it? OFTD. I don't have OFTD. Do you think the amount of aging helps flavor? For what? Aging always helps flavor, yes. I just don't know how much. Um, aging helps curb some of the flavor if it's a tequila, since it's a tequila month. Curbs off some of those sharper flavors. Pre-order for wooden box. See, that's could be actually what it is. I don't know if these guys started with a Kickstarter, but I wouldn't doubt that like you could be a Kickstarter person and you can put in. I mean, the box is already falling apart. No, it's not. It's just doesn't close all the way. If you did a Kickstarter program, the concept of the Kickstarter is you're investing in the company, so they may not ever get your money's worth, but you're helping them. Maybe they just had like some leftovers from some sort of event or something like that did that. Tequila always gives me a nasty ass hangover, so I avoid drinking. Hayes, what type of tequila are you drinking? So there's two things about that. First off, drink 100% de agave. That helps. Secondly, drink a little bit less. However, there are people that do have, like my wife. Whenever we have amaretto sours, or they're higher on the whiskey, like heavy, strong whiskey, and Hornitos should be fine. She tends to have a hangover the next day. So the question is it the whiskey, or is it the fact that the amaretto sours have a good amount of sugar and amaretto in them? And everybody likes amaretto. So sugar can all help give you that hangover because you have that alcohol, but then you have the sugar withdrawal as well. So you're spiking your sugar levels really high when you're drinking, and you're adding alcohol. So if you're putting those both together, there's no guarantee one is causing the other. People might say, yeah, but every time I drink whiskey, that happens. And then you look at what are you drinking with your whiskey, and it's always a high sugar cocktail. Then you don't have a control group. You need to drink whiskey some way that doesn't give you that much sugar to see if that's what it is. Or maybe when you drink whiskey, you tend not to drink a lot of water and you dehydrate yourself. There's a whole lot of things that you could be doing. Or you literally just get hangovers more with one spirit over another. But I do see that the most with tequila, and most of the time it's because people just don't know how to drink it right. Yes, if you're drinking straight up, drink a lot of water with it. Otherwise, you're going to end up in some serious problems. Like the other day, I had a hangover from last live stream because we did the 8 or 9 shows, drinking a few things in between, and I never even had a buzz. But the next day, I had a hangover, just a little bit. Like you were like, I don't know about this. But then it dawned on me, like, I always drink water with my stuff. And it's usually because when we go over to Dan and Julia's house, I have to drive home. And it's really a simple trick. Me and Dan learned early is that if I drive or he drives, then the women will stay longer and want to hang out and mess around and drink more and play cornhole and all this other stuff. But if they're driving, we're leaving early. So it's like you can leave at 11 or you can leave at 2. If you're going to have a fun time, you might as well stay longer. So that means I have to drive. And when I drive, that means I drink a couple of drinks, lots of water, and then as the night goes on, the water levels go up. Actually, everybody typically does. And then the alcohol levels come down. So we kind of taper it down, and then you get that hour of kind of like getting back to stability. And in the end, it means you can do crazy stuff like operate heavy machinery because you're not drunk, and you don't end up waking up with a hangover. So there's a tip. But in this case, there are people who are bad at hydrating, and it can sometimes be a problem for me, especially if I'm at the bar doing it because I don't have to drive, so I'm not paying attention. I'm not worried about how do I get home. And that's where things start to go downhill. And we don't care what the girls drink. They manage their own problems. And we also tend to force water on them more as the night goes on so that they don't end up with a hangover because, while it might be fun to hang out with friends, it's not fun to hang out with your wife the next day when she's got a hangover. So typically we have to bring water to the mix. I think that's pretty general with most of the people we hang out with. We don't have a lot of people that are just stupid drunks. Maybe one or two, but they always have somebody who drives them home, or they just don't drink. That's the weird thing is, like, we have some friends that they are either on or off. Like, There's no like, oh, I'm gonna leave in 6 hours, so I need to make sure I'm good for that. They just like, no, I'm not going to be good with that because if I start drinking, I'm not gonna be able to go in. Or they end up in the guest room. Yeah, glass of water after between every drink, and then I usually add an extra glass if you're tailoring off to the end of the night. Stupid drunk. Go to the store and buy a 24 pack of Budweiser. See, I could probably drink a 24 pack of Budweiser. Well, that's probably not true, but I can drink more Budweiser than other things without getting drunk because I don't know why. And I think it's just because they're low on alcohol, and I'm used to having higher alcohol stuff. Or you get my butt. Rice beer. That's another name for it. So that's all I really want to talk to you guys about. It's almost been an hour. If you guys have any other questions, I have no more bitters to taste. So, and if you're wondering where everybody is, everybody else went out for the day. So my wife and kids went to a play in Boston with my mother-in-law. So I'm supposed to be fixing the lawnmower. What else? I have a whole list of things. I'm putting on an observation newsletter, working on a website for one of the local companies I'm working with, because I started my job this week, so I'm a little bit tired. My old 2-year schedule used to be, procrastinating. My 2-year schedule was getting up around 9 o'clock, even when I was in sales. So I spent a lot of my career as a software developer. Then I went into sales, and with sales, working at home and traveling, it was typically waking up around 8 to 9 in the morning, getting on the computer, blasting out all the emails, getting everything kind of up and running. And then if I had to go travel to a customer site, it was usually around 11. If it was in Connecticut, or Rhode Island, or Vermont, or Maine, it was usually an earlier morning, like 7 o'clock. But now that I have a developer job again, I spent 2 years working on the store and the show and making no money at it, but trying. And so I used to wake up at 9, 8:30, pack for awesome drinks, all the store stuff, and then get my day going. And now I'm waking up at 5:50 and trying to get on the road by 6:30 in the morning to fight traffic going down to Lexington, Massachusetts to go to work. So this week was rough to try and, everything. Waking up, I can, whatever, I'll have to wake up and do it. But I did definitely get more tired faster, and my stomach was a wreck because it's like, wait, you're eating breakfast at 6 in the morning instead of 10 now? Sometimes I just skipped it. Can't do that anymore. It's like you're at work the whole time. So I can't just go to the refrigerator. I got to plan in advance. And just, it's been a rough on the body. What kind of development job do I have? So my latest job is, so basically what I did is I got out of sales because I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I took about I don't know, can't say 100, probably an 80% pay cut to go back into development. But since I hadn't made any money for a couple of years, maybe it's not really a pay cut, but it originally was. I'm currently making probably 40% less than I did as a developer, but I got to pay my dues again and get back into the industry. So I'm working at Lincoln Labs it's a FFRDC, or for people who don't know, it's a government-funded research facility where I work for the Department of Defense doing military satellite stuff. Currently, my development is mainly in C++ and Python, primarily Python right now. That's what I started with, at least. So, what's going on with John Belushi? Who's, what? Oh, I gotta read the other direction. So, first week as a software developer again, which means not as much time spent commenting on everybody. I know a company that could use some affordable web developer help. Yeah, the problem is you need a lot more web development than just one, unless it's I do that on the side, mainly for local companies, just because I had started doing it before, and I've got to at least finish it off before. I don't know. I don't like to do a lot of web development on the side because I like to be able to come home on the weekends and do stuff around the house, like I'm doing today, editing for next week's shows. I'm kind of getting my other side jobs. So having yet a third one is kind of a bit of a pain, but I promised this guy his website would be done, so I'm gonna do it. Then I gotta redesign everydaydrinkers.com eventually. Maybe start blogging again. I don't know. Just trying to get some search going, some better search. YouTube's just not cutting it, so gotta do something. Python is fairly good language programming. Yeah, I didn't do a lot of C#. Once upon a time, a little bit, but not very much. I try to stay away from it because back in the day I was so much more into C and C++ that I couldn't deal with dumbing it down to C# level. But Python and C# and Java and or whatever, they're all kind of the same level nowadays. But I've spent a lot of time as a hardware developer writing code for like not Silicon but like right above it. So it's a different type of discipline. I can build a computer, but I can't program in paper bag. I used to build computers, then I got Macs because I got sick of building computers and having to spend 3 days trying to get them to work correctly. Like back in the day, I built everything so you can get a powerhouse system for like $800. I do have to get a new computer at some point. I just wish it would run Mac OS and not Windows. I'm at work I'm an idiot at work. I can't even figure out how to tab through stuff. Copy and paste is different. So I'm just like, my boss was sitting behind me, or like behind my shoulder when I was showing him something, and I'm just like tabbing all over the place. He's like, dude, we gotta get you a Mac. I'm like, I know, I haven't done this in a while. That's been a little kind of crazy. $1,200 isn't too bad. It's the Bitcoin that killed you. Now that everybody buys these stupid video cards for Bitcoin mining, the price of video cards flies up. Yes, the programming landscape has changed, which is why I took this job, because I spent 3 months trying to find a job and like not even getting to the interview stage. So I got to get more relevant information on my resume, because the top of my resume was pretty much media, stuff like that, sales, and then way down here in like 2013 was development. So I got to throw this in, do a couple of years here, and then my real plan is to do what I always do, is like make myself feel like, make people think I'm so valuable that I end up with the control. Like right now I'm the new guy, right? So you don't know anything, people don't know what you can do. So I've literally spent the week just busting out code as fast as I could. That was like, my boss is gone for 2 days. He leaves for vacation the week I show up. So I don't really know anybody there yet. So I'm just like, head down, gonna impress the crap out of people. That way they just know you're gonna work. You don't have to deal with like their unsurety. I'm also a contractor, even though I'm full-time with a subcontractor. I have to work 8.5 hours with a 30-minute break by law. So if I work anything over that, I get in trouble. So my goal is to get to work at 7 in the morning and get out of there by 3:30 on a daily basis. Traffic sometimes doesn't help. Thanks, Tommy, on the 100K. Someday maybe you'll be able to, maybe I'll have videos, views worth celebrating 100K. Until then, I don't really care. So, anybody need any more knowledge before I take off and finish editing this video? Next week, I will be posting, the first video will be the Batanga, which is like a rum and coke with tequila. The next video will be, the Vampiro. I think that's the next one. That's the one I gotta edit that has Dan cringing because he's gotta drink a tomato-based cocktail with tequila. Yep, Vampiro will be the next one I gotta edit. I'm actually looking forward to editing that one, so I want to see what people do. Where the heck did my chat window go? Over here. But yeah, and I do have to continue procrastinating. So instead of fixing my my lawnmower, which I haven't used for 3 years because I've had somebody doing my lawn, my son's now like, I want to mow the lawn for an allowance. I'm like, all right, sounds good to me, but that means I have to get my lawnmower working. And since it's been sitting for 3 years, I'm procrastinating by putting it on the charger and seeing if I can get it to actually charge the battery. Then I can see if it's actually going to roll over and start. And then I'll worry about the other stuff. But since it's 4 o'clock and I'm not yet sure if my wife's going to be home before dinner or not, so if she says she's not gonna be home until like 7, then I'll probably procrastinate more, and then I'll find some like things that I can do that makes me feel like I accomplished something today, and I can say, "Oh, I didn't get this done, but look, I did this, this, and this, and now I feel like a friggin' hero." That's you now have a little insight into the inner workings of my weekend. All right, everybody. Oh wait, there was a question up here. If I can find my mouse. Alternate tequila to Cavallino Reposado. Cavallino, that was our first tequila sponsor. Alternate tequila for Cavallino. Let's see what that's like a low cost. I want to say Hornitos Reposado. Sparkle. Can we get Sparkle Donkey? Sparkle Donkey Reposado. Although the Sparkle Donkey's silver was no, Cavallino's silver I think was better than Reposado. So you're not gonna go find Sparkle Donkey. Oh, it's got a high rating on tequila.net. Hey, did you guys see Drink of New York is no longer a website anymore? I thought that was kind of weird. What's a good tequila? Let me check my New Hampshire liquor store. That will give me some idea. New Hampshire liquor store. Liquor and wine outlets.com. So, tequila. Oops, that's not how you spell tequila. Tequila. Casamigos, way more expensive than you're looking for if you're buying Cavallino. Don't care for 1800. Avion. Cazadores is pretty good if you can get that. Wow. What did I click on? Oh, there's no next page. It just goes last. I wouldn't go with Espolana. Corzo? $53 for... Oh, that's Añejo. Herradura Reposado. Milagro. I haven't had Milagro Reposado. Luna Azul? What? Luna Azul Blanco Tequila, 750 milliliters for $12.99. They must not be doing too well in the New Hampshire liquor store, so they're selling it all off. This is great. So I can get a bottle of Luna Azul Blanco Tequila for $12.99, or Margaritaville Gold Mixto for $11.99. So that's a stupid question. Well, we sell Partita at our liquor store now. New Hampshire's got a state-run liquor store, so it's you have to buy it from them, but it is cheaper. So, just checking the chat here. Suerte? We have Suerte? Okay. Sauza's. I don't think Sauza Gold is real. I think that's a mixto. Cabo Wabo, if you want to spend $37.99 or more. Don Julio's more. I think these are sorted by price. So, you know what you could try? You know what would be a good one for a Reposado replacement would be Jose Cuervo Tradicional Reposado, if you can get it. I would say that would be a good one to try. Also, if you can find it, Hornitos Black Barrel. That's pretty damn good. And it's not that expensive. $22 here, so I don't know where it is where you are, but that might not be too bad. So there you go. Same here, state-run liquor store. So, Philip, you must be in Pennsylvania. Or there's a couple other places. All right, folks, I'm going to go get to work. Thanks all for sitting through my Honest John Bitters live stream review. I will see you guys later. And the next stream will be, let me see if my calendar works here. Calendar, I don't know. See what everybody around here says. I'm gonna guess either June 1st or maybe, is that 1st? Yeah, 1st, or maybe the 25th of May, but I'm gonna guess maybe June 1st, because the last video I have slated here is May 30th. May 30th. May 30th. That's May 30th is a Wednesday. Yeah, so June 1st. I'm going to go with June 1st at this moment. So if you're around on June 1st, that will be our next tentative official live stream. Oh, yeah, thank you for liking the cocktail database. If you guys want to see the cocktail database, head over to. Why can't I type in my little fucking window? Okay. Type my window! Oh, there we go. Go to recipe.awesomedrinks.com. I didn't put the Matador in there yet because I have to redo that one because I didn't realize it was supposed to have pineapple juice. So I'll put that one in there next month. The Batanga should be in there in the next couple hours as I find time to do that. And then I'll have the Batanga and then Vampiro in the recipe database this weekend because I usually put them in there when I'm editing because I've already got all the shit out anyway. So that's it, guys. I don't know what's going to happen right now. Bye. All right, you want to stop streaming? Yeah.